Start recording. Absolutely, I will start recording. Um, what is today? Happy Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. I've had a very full plate, so thank you for those of you who've seen my communication and jumped right on it. That was awesome. I was getting like a mixed ton of messages, and I was trying to do the multitasking thing, and that never worked. So I'm grateful for all of you for keeping me connected to the calendar and the schedule and the messages that I'm putting up. So that was awesome. Um, Yes, super excited. We get to cause breakthroughs in difficult relationships, and sometimes my difficult relationship is with my calendar. So that's fun, and I'm glad that we get to look at that tonight. And as always, I do ask that you are engaged. This is an experiential coaching, so your participation is key. So I invite you to be coached. Raise your hand, jump in. If you haven't spoke, please speak. We'd love to hear from you. And with that being said, Michael is here. He is on a high. I don't know if you guys are following baseball, but the Boston Red Sox are on like a monumental 15-game winning streak. They are trying to catch up to the Oakland A's right now and be the next Moneyball movie. So super, super cool. And I know he's pumped. Yeah, he's all Boston red out. And yeah, so he's ready to coach us and lead us. And I invite you all to be part of that. And with that being said, Michael, ready to rock.
Hello, can everybody hear me? Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our call today. Great to see your faces. Anthony and Stacy have been on a whirlwind tour, so they're coming to a city near you, and maybe into the city that you're in.
Already.
Where are you now, Anthony? Are you
Oh
home?
no, we're home. We're home. We got back from Texas the day before yesterday. Yeah, we got back from Texas the day before yesterday. Texas is hot.
Oh, it's hot. I'm in Texas now. Hot with the AF after the hot. So great to see everybody, and hopefully your summer has air conditioning in it, and that you're safe wherever you are and wherever you guys live. And I'm definitely excited about this workshop tonight and this conversation because I think people throw around words that they don't mean. Or they don't know what it means, or they what they think it means is not what it means. Okay, so one of those words is breakthrough. Breakthrough now is a popular word in pop culture. It's a popular word in the internet, in marketing and branding, and so on and so forth. And I think people use the word a lot, but I don't think that they fully understand what it means and what it could mean. So it's not just what is an understanding of it, but what's the value of it and what can a breakthrough and creating breakthrough produce. So my to begin our workshop today, I want everybody to think about the word breakthrough. So before we can have a breakthrough in a difficult relationship, let's understand and let's have a dialogue around what the word breakthrough means. Obviously, we even use the word in ILC, and you've attended many workshops that I facilitated, Anna has facilitated, Wendy, and many other people along the way. And we talk about breakthrough, and we've presence breakthrough, and we even have a breakthrough training type experience and so on. So, what does the word mean to you? Let me start with that. I'd love to take some sharing from you to help us define what the word breakthrough means so that we're all on the same page about the context of the word itself. So, who'd like to start us off tonight? What does breakthrough mean to you?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind for me is um, either a renewal of awareness or a new awareness of something, and
Okay.
it may be leading to a new behavior, but I see it more as the aha kind of experience.
Okay. Great. So your interpretation and your experience when you think of the word breakthrough centers around like the aha, the awareness of something, and it could lead to a change in action or behavior or something. Okay, great. Thank you, Elaine. Who
Mhm.
else?
Well, I think a breakthrough, so for me, tends to follow breakdown. So
Hmm.
like breakdown happens, and then the possibility of, and I agree with Elaine as far as awareness, that there's an awareness like your past, for instance. So what happened in the past. And and the way I look at it can be completely different than how I used to look at it. So I have a breakthrough in my perception, possibly. I mean, that's one possible thing. And then, like I
Take
said,
the word,
like,
let me jump in for a minute. Take the word breakthrough out and use another word or a few words, whatever works for you when you say what you're saying.
so, a new awareness, a new thought, a new perception of something.
Okay. Okay.
Like I used to see something a certain way, and I know we've been talked, a lot has been discussed where we can't change the past, we can change how we see it. And so that may be a big breakthrough for me or somebody else that it isn't what I thought it was. And so my thought about it can completely be transformed.
Great. So you're basically what I'm hearing you say is that breakthrough to you is comes after breakdown. So comes after breakdown. So there's a relationship between breakdown and then breakthrough. And the past is in the past, and it's how I see or how I'm choosing to see or how I possibly see either that situation or that relationship or that event or that experience can result in a new awareness, a new thought, a new way of seeing it. That's what I'm hearing you say.
And lead to a new beginning.
Okay, great. Lead to a new beginning. All right. Thank you. Excellent.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you, guys. Who else? Let me hear from a couple more people. What does breakthrough
So
mean to you?
I would say breakthrough for me means creating a intentional shift in my way of being.
Okay, say more about that. An intentional shift in your way of being. So break it down for us. So when you say intentional shift, what does that mean to you?
Just having the awareness of how you're showing up because that's what creates the breakdown. And so the awareness of how you're showing up, creating the breakdown and shifting that into an intentional way of being creates the breakthrough.
So interesting. I'm hearing you say that there is also responsibility in the conversation of breakthrough, because what I heard you just say is in order to have an intentional shift, there has to be some form of my ownership or responsibility. I'm using my, this is what I heard, ownership or responsibility about what happened. And then as a result of what happened, making an intentional shift in my way of being in order to have a different result or a different outcome.
Yes, because we
That
can't have a breakthrough without being responsible for the breakdown.
okay? Now, when you say responsibility, define responsibility for us in your own words without referencing any notes or any like handouts that we've given you or anything. What's your interpretation? How would you describe responsibility to somebody who doesn't get it or could get it? Let's say that you're talking to somebody and they don't understand responsibility. They want to understand it. How would you describe that to them?
It's taking ownership of the things that you can control without any blame, shame, or guilt.
Okay, so if I don't have blame, shame, or guilt, what do I have when I have responsibility and I take ownership of something? I get what I don't have, so there's no blame, there's no shame, and there's no guilt. What do I have? What do you get? Like what's the benefit? What's the payoff? What's the experience that I could have by being responsible?
Possibilities.
Okay, tell us how that connects to responsibility here.
Because if you have responsibility, then your possibilities are endless because you create what you want to create.
Awesome. So, Wendy, I'm just going to step out for the next hour and a half, and you just keep going and lead the rest of the workshop. Okay. All right. Great
Got it.
work. Bye, everybody. That was fantastic, by the way. Not that the other sharing wasn't fantastic too, but I challenged you a little bit more than I did the previous two, people who shared. Nothing good, bad. It wasn't like for any particular reason. You were saying something that was distinct, and I wanted to draw it out of you. And you did a really, really effective job of communicating what the value is of responsibility. I mean, you said what it wasn't. It's not shame, blame, or guilt, but you didn't say what it was. And then you started with just one word, possibilities. And wow, that's a different experience. So you're talking about shifting the ways of being to create a different outcome or a different result or different experience in life. But then you basically gave us the actual roadmap on how to get there. So great job. Excellent sharing. Thank you so much, Wendy. See, now you're screwed. Now you have to continue to share. I love it. You're going to have a breakthrough where in our upcoming workshop it's going to be Wendy, can you calm down, please? Can you just stop? Give space to other people. You're taking up too much. But right now, you're not taking up too much. You're taking up awesome space. So keep it going. Thank you. Let me hear from one more. One more of our people tonight who would like to share. What does Dolores? Let's hear from you. What does Dolores? Dolores, what does breakthrough mean to you, Dolores?
Um, well, I will start by saying that my first experience in in breakthrough comes from my upbringing in church, where in the I'm having this image of someone, a preacher, saying, I'm ready for my breakthrough, and having the congregation to repeat, I'm ready for my breakthrough. Now, what that might mean to different individuals it depends on what they're going through, where they need a breakthrough. Now, I know you mentioned not using the word to define the word. So, in looking at, how I experience it, it's a leveling up of your being, and it's accessing what is already there. But actually, as Elaine was saying, once that awareness is created, you elevate yourself to where you're no longer where you're actually being. You've broken through where you were to where you now see that you have access, where that awareness is now created for you, or that you have
So what is
created.
that? What is another way of saying that breaking through from there to here? What do you call that? That's a what?
It's a transformation.
Boom. Hold on. What does transformation mean?
Um,
You guys are going to
it's
be
it,
you're going to be facilitating these workshops soon, okay? What does
uh,
transformation mean?
it's a oh I can't explain it other than a new way of being, a new way of consciousness, and of navigating in the world. Um, Yeah.
No, but I love it. What an awesome tee up. You said I can't explain it, then you explained it. Thanks for diminishing our expectations and then over delivering. That was fantastic. You said I can't explain it, and I'm fully expecting a dud, and then you gave us a beautiful explosion in your explanation. Yeah, so a transformation is a fundamental shift in attitude or behavior, or when you talk about that level, it's a operating on a different level, on a new level in your communication, your action, your behavior, your attitude, how you show up, your ways of being. It's any of those things. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. And so it's a process to cause that. It's like, I've worked with so many people over the years who claim to be shy. So what I say is, and I've always said this, and I believe it, which is anyone who says they're shy bought into a story about themselves. When you were born, we were all born nude. And none of us were crying because we were nude when we were born. Nobody was aware of the fact that they were nude. It wasn't like, oh my God, I'm nude and I need to start crying and covering up because I feel ashamed of my body, or I'm insecure of my body, or everyone's looking at me, or everyone's touching me and nobody has permission to touch me. I mean, a baby isn't shy. When a baby wants food, it will find a way. Have you ever had a baby or been around a baby? They will find a way to get fed. And when a baby's happy, they're going to find ways to be happy. And when they're not happy, they're going to find ways not to be happy. They ultimately are not shy or per se outgoing. They're just a human being and they're experiencing life. And then let's say that we have certain tendencies. I could certainly buy that. We're definitely a combination. As human beings, we're a combination of our DNA, and then we're a combination also of our environment. Somebody who maybe leans to be a little more shy per se, that shyness could be emphasized by the environment. And let's say somebody's a little more outgoing or has a tendency to be a little more outgoing or a little more rambunctious or whatever, that behavior can become either stifled or exaggerated based on the environment. And so it's not about I'm a shy person or I'm a outgoing person. What you are is a person and a human. And one of the great gifts of being human is we can all transform. We can all break through. We can all go to those new levels. So I have worked with people who claim to be shy and are now getting paid to public speak. How does a shy person become a public speaker, a keynote speaker, a coach, a trainer, a facilitator, someone who looks for, think about this, someone who looks for opportunities to get in front of people and to be paid where they're at stake for delivering something of value? Like, how does that happen with a shy person or an insecure person or a self-conscious person or a cautious person and so on? And what I'm saying to you is that this is where the gift of being human really is, and what differentiates us from the squirrel and many other animals. Now, let's discuss, for example, a squirrel. What is a squirrel doing today versus what the squirrel was doing back when you were a child? Let's talk about the life of a squirrel. Has the life of a squirrel transformed? Are they, talking in a language that we can now understand? Did they create plumbing? Did they create air conditioned homes? Did they find a way to generate food without foraging for food every day? I mean, I think squirrels are adorable. So this is nothing against squirrels. I'm simply saying the squirrel seems to be doing the same thing it was doing 50 years ago when I was a child, and the life of a squirrel has not transformed. Unless you have seen some transformed squirrels, let's just accept that the life of a squirrel is the same. Humans 50 years ago were doing completely different things than they are now. 50 years ago, the idea of a cell phone and communication through a computer like we're doing, I mean, these were like pipe dream, fascinating imaginary imagination for people that operated outside of the box. And those people that operate outside of the box are the people that generate and facilitate breakthroughs for the rest of us that are in the box. And thank God they exist, because think of all the wonderful things that we now get to have. How about, light switches that dim? How about you can turn your car on and the air conditioning on when you're in Dallas and it's 110 degrees before you get in the car? Or you could be, you know, on an airplane and open up your garage through the internet. Just think about that for a moment. Is that crazy? You could be on a plane and open up your garage through the internet in Phoenix while you're on a plane 35,000 feet above sea level. That's, to me, mind blowing what we are capable of causing and creating. And many of the breakthroughs that we have caused and created are technologically based, or they are business based, or they are more on the what I'm going to call tangible base. And what they aren't is in the interrelational department. So tonight's workshop is about breaking through in relationships, not about becoming an expert in technology for those of you that are like me that are not. This workshop tonight is focused on creating breakthroughs in difficult relationships. Now, difficult is also subject to interpretation. For example, I was with a friend of mine today, and I told my friend, I don't even know where it came from because it's like so back in my history for my life. I don't know if I've ever even shared this with anybody. I think it's because he told me he was Catholic and his mother wanted him to be a priest. And when did you ever think about being a priest? And he said, no. And I said, well, when did that stop? And he said, when I, saw girls for the first time. And I said, okay. And when was that? And that was funny because he said high school. And I said, well, were you blind before high school? Or, like, what's that all about? And so we were having this funny back and forth banter about how he's a failed priest because he liked girls and he fell in love and all those things, and it disappointed his mother. And I had a flashback to, of course, when I started to realize that there are girls out there in the world, and I had a stalker before I knew what a stalker was. So I went on 2 dates with this girl, and it took 2 dates for me to realize she's super pretty, but something is not quite right. And I don't think this is going to be, um, uh, you know, like a solid relationship for me. So I think I'm just going to back out. And I was not, the standard, guy that would just, do, horrible things to people. I said to her, look, I don't think it's working out for the two of us to date. I would just like to be friends. And so it was only 2 dates and nothing really happened, nothing of consequence. I'm not going to say I didn't kiss her. Yes, there was some kissing, but nothing of consequence. This is eighth grade. All of a sudden she shows up at every party I'm at, every social event I'm at, and not just shows up, she shows up, and I'll be talking to somebody and all of a sudden I'll feel this person there, and then I'll look over and I see these eyes. When I talk about difficult relationships, this was a difficult relationship. I mean, I hope none of you have stalkers, but we don't have to have the example for tonight's workshop be a stalker. Maybe it could be your mother. Maybe it could be, well, maybe your mother's a stalker too. So it's not a requirement that the level of difficulty is danger. All right. I was in eighth grade. She was in eighth grade. It subsided. It took 3 months of constantly letting her know I'm not interested, I'm not interested, I'm not interested. And then she stopped calling me and she stopped showing up. She got it and nothing bad happened. So all is good. So when you think about a breakthrough in a relationship that is difficult, pick somebody, choose somebody right now. And it's simply your interpretation of a difficult relationship. And I want you to start thinking about what the breakthrough might be, not only for that person, but how about the breakthrough also for you? So, technically, I could use my dad as a great example here. You know, my dad and I, growing up, never had a loving relationship where we said the words. There was no affection, there was no hugging, there was no verbal expression of love. And he also did not acknowledge me. Like there was no acknowledgement. Michael, I'm so proud of you. Michael, you're so amazing. Michael, you have so much talent. Wow, Michael, you're so smart. Like there was no acknowledgement. So no verbal acknowledgement. There was absolutely no affection, no hugging, no touching of any what I'm going to call intimate type of experience. And that affected me, absolutely affected me. I mean, I worshiped my dad, worshiped. I thought he was like, amazing, smart, brilliant, funny, all the things that I would have loved to be. And I felt like this total mini me, insignificant, unworthy person in his space. And so I started my work in emotional intelligence and I started to work on my leadership, work on my breaking through my limiting beliefs, my unworthiness, my insecurity, my fear, my feeling like I don't matter, my feeling like I'm mini me with my dad. And I declared what I was committed to creating with my father. And when I declared it, I had no evidence to believe it could be. So when you make a declaration, when I make a declaration, it doesn't mean that it's based on evidence. So I declared I'm committed to creating a loving, intimate, vulnerable relationship with my dad. And I declared it to my coach. I declared it to my team that I was working with. So I had an awesome team. I declared it to these people, and they were all super excited for me. And then I'm the one who had to get in front of my dad and open myself up to him. Now, part of what was holding me back was my belief at the time that it should be my father coming to me. Like, why in the world do I actually had this conversation. Why in the world do I have to break through my father? That concept seemed so odd to me. You know, the thought or the belief that you have a child that you act like you don't want, but stick around. You know, at some point, does it ever dawn on you that you don't have the loving relationship with this person and that maybe you would want to? I mean, it was so odd to me. So I had to get past what? Think about what I'm talking about. In order to create the breakthrough in this difficult relationship, I had to get past what?
Fears,
Fears of what?
rejection, unapproval, maybe.
Oh, you can start with rejection. Definitely. I mean, here's the thing. I already felt rejected. You guys understand that? I mean, I already felt rejected. So the thought of going in there with this this, lion. Like I had my father as like this ginormous lion, this roar, just larger than life, intimidating person. And I was this tiny little, mouse of a person. And I'm going to go in and break my dad through. I mean, this was like, to me, an incredibly outrageous belief, an outrageous concept. So, yes, getting past my fears that I'm going to be rejected. I mean, the relationship is already crappy, and so now I'm going to go in there. I'm going to be loving. I'm going to be vulnerable. I'm going to open my heart to him. And he's going to laugh at me, or he's going to say, no, or you're out of your mind, or forget it. So, yeah, absolutely. I had big, huge fears. And what was the second thing you said?
Oh, yeah, it was basically that fear, like I said, intimidation, the rejection, what's the word? I guess, not being received. Yeah.
Yeah, and let's say I did it. Let's say I did it and did not have a breakthrough, did not cause a breakthrough, did not create a breakthrough. What do you think, Zarek, that would have happened to me given those beliefs, given those interpretations and the thoughts I already had? What do you think would have happened?
And you would have been drowned out with failure and you knew this was going to happen, right? Your limiting beliefs would have been, justified.
There you go. So what do we call that when a human being has those beliefs, has those thoughts, let's say prior to the conversation, and then they, let's just say, back out of having it? What do we say about that person?
Cold feet, scared. Yeah,
They had cold feet. I love that. Yeah, they got cold feet. So, what was bigger
your
when the
fears.
person gets cold feet?
Uh, your fears are bigger than overcoming it. That belief, that limiting belief.
Yeah. And so, when the fears are bigger, then overcoming the limiting beliefs, then let's just put that person that I'm talking about in a box for a moment. What is the box we would put that person in? That person is what? And I'm asking everybody the same question. I'm just working with Zarek for a minute. So perk on that. What do we call that person? That person got cold feet. That person didn't have the conversation. That person didn't go in there. They told me they loved their dad. They told me they were committed to having a breakthrough. They told me they were committed to creating love, committed to creating vulnerability, committed to creating intimacy. They were committed to it and they got cold feet. They didn't do it. That person is a you can use many words. I'm not just looking for one. That person, okay, I'll give you a hint. What do they have a lot of in Arkansas? Has anybody been to Arkansas or through Arkansas? Anthony, have you been to Arkansas yet? Come on. What? World
Razorbacks.
tour
Um,
hasn't taken you to Little Rock? Come on. Hot springs? You and Stacy need to get some hot springs on you. Who else? Is there a you perk on it? This is great. This is why we do this work, because we're working on the context of breakthrough and what it really takes. So, what do we call that person? I'm opening up to everybody else.
A fraud, someone who, not following through,
Okay.
not able to break through. Breakthrough. There's breakthrough again. Um,
Yeah. So maybe they're a fraud. Maybe they're a liar. Maybe they just break their word. What do
yeah,
you call somebody that breaks their word?
lack, not responsible,
Okay. So
not
when
committed.
somebody when somebody's not responsible, what do we call that person?
A loser.
No, that would be
Loser.
that would be this. This is a specific salute.
A
What?
victim.
There you go. Say it again.
A victim.
Yes.
It's opposite of responsible.
Yes. That person is a victim. And
I
when
knew
they're
it
not,
was going to happen. See, I have evidence to prove it. Poor me.
oh my gosh, say what you just said again, please. Please say it. I knew.
I knew it was going to happen. I have evidence to prove it.
So not only are you a victim, or am I a victim, but I am right about my victim story. What did I have in the first 21 years of my life regarding my dad?
Evidence.
I had evidence that I had collected because that's what we do partially as human beings. We use our brains sometimes not as a tool to create something, but we use it sometimes as an evidence gathering device. Now, be honest, how many of you are judgmental sometimes? How many of
Anthony
you?
says I'm a hater sometimes.
Okay. So sometimes we're judgmental. How many of you sometimes have victim conversations? How many of you sometimes get angry at somebody? Okay. So here's my point. You're human. I'm human. We're not getting out of being human. And part of the human experience is that we have thoughts. All of us have thoughts. How often do you have thoughts? You have thoughts most of your awake time in the day, and sometimes at night. You ever wake up and you wake up and you're like in mid thought about something? Like you don't even know why, but it's like all of a sudden you're like in mid thought, or you're trying to sleep, but you have thoughts, and the thoughts that you have are stopping you from sleeping. So, what I'm saying is, we are human, and part of the human experience is that we have thoughts. We have these thoughts and we engage in the thoughts. Sometimes the thoughts we have are productive, and sometimes the thoughts we have are limiting. And so, what causes you, me, and us, Zarek, from having the conversation with our Father, which, by the way, is the metaphor here, not the fact for you, it's just my sharing and using it as an example. What we have sometimes is cold feet, and we get cold feet because of the fears that we have. And the fears that we have are not driven by the vision or the possibilities of the future. The fears that we have are driven by the past experience and our self righteous, self fulfilling need to be a prophet about how our life is going to turn out. I can't tell you how many people will say to me something like, I have an issue with my wife, or I have an issue with my son, or I have an issue with my boss. Okay. I have a client. I swear to you, I have a client I'm working with, and I love him, and he's got a partner, and he is in an unbelievable victim conversation about this relationship. I am having to confront him and take him on and listen to him and shift him and redesign with him and get back in there with him. And I am literally chipping away at everything that isn't David. I am Michelangelo, and my client I'm not going to use his name, but my client is a slab of marble. And I have been chipping away for like 2 weeks now, and I see no evidence. I see no results. I see no breakthrough. I mean, every time I talk to him, it's like Groundhog Day. Remember the movie Groundhog Day? It's like Groundhog Day. It's like, what? Wait a minute. Didn't we just talk about this? Is me talking to myself. Wait a minute. What? Didn't we just talk about this last week? Um, Hold on a minute. Do you remember when we talked about this? It's like he is in a vicious cycle of repeating and being right and repeating and being right and being right and being right. And I have the best news. So I worked with him to send an email. I worked with him to craft the email. In other words, what does he want to say? What is his intention? I worked with him to speak directly to the person he's sending it to so that there's a connection there, so that when it gets through to him, he can hear it. So, in other words, your email doesn't start with, Dear, I'm going to make up a name. Dear John, you know how you suck as a partner and you've been the worst partner in the history of business, and I do everything and you do nothing and you don't compensate me and I never get any acknowledgement or recognition from you. And by the way, I hate you and I don't like you and you have crappy taste and you're a shitty manager. In other words, I'm working with him to say and communicate in a way that the person can hear it, can embrace it, and possibly honor his request. But before we could get to any kind of request, he had to run his racket and run his racket and run his racket and run his racket and wait a minute, run his racket and then run some more. I mean, he is the Usain Bolt of running his racket. Okay? We're talking about world class racket runner. So, crafted the email, sent it off, and I follow up with him a couple days later and I say, Hey, have you heard from your partner yet? Uh-oh, rant. Here we go again. No, of course I didn't hear from him because blah, 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 and it goes on and on and on. Okay. So I get a text message from him today. You ready? I got a response. And he accepted my request. I laughed so hard. He accepted the request and the recommendations and responded to everything in the email. It is the best. It is the best. So my client says, as he's updating me this stuff, this is the best. At the end of it, he says, now I can be joyful for a bit. I mean, think about that statement. Now I can be joyful for a bit. So I write him back. I say, hey, how about if you just be joyful? I mean, no one's going to get hurt. No one's going to lose. Imagine what the world would be like in your space if you're just playing joyful versus, you're at the bar and you put in a coin into the jukebox and you hit the joy for a bit. And then for the next 3.5 minutes, you're joyful. And then you go back to your grumpy self. Hello. So, needless to say, I am not standing here or sitting here today telling you we have had a complete breakthrough because we have not. We absolutely have not. Because not only is he really good in his job, which is, he's a money manager, he's a financial advisor, very good in his job, makes a lot of money. You know what else he's good at? Victim. He is a professional victim. Not sure they taught that at Michigan, where he went to school. Do you know how hard it is to get to Michigan? He went into Michigan, graduated from Michigan University, and I don't think he got a BA or a secondary degree in victim. But He is a professional victim. There are layers to his victim. So he's given it up for a bit. I'll let you know how that goes because that's what I like to call a work in progress. Now, what is breakthrough? When breakthrough finally happens and it occurs, it is a transformation. I'm going to take what everybody said. It is a transformation in the thoughts, the beliefs, the attitudes, the ways of being, the behaviors, and the actions of the other person and or of the relationship. So you take somebody that is shy or somebody that's cautious or somebody that doesn't have confidence in their speaking ability and turn that person into a professional keynote speaker, coach, trainer, facilitator. That's a breakthrough. A breakthrough is when there is a transformation, a visible, audible, emotional, experiential. It's a deep, profound shift in how that person operates. So I went to my father and I had the conversation. Was I afraid, Eric? Yes, I was sweating bullets. I was literally sweating, totally scared, afraid, nervous. I've never been effective before having an honest conversation with my dad. But I went in there and I said, fuck it. Sorry for my language. I'm going for it. It gets to happen. I get to be the one. I didn't know I was going to be the one. Maybe I shouldn't be the one, but I am the one. Like, hello, is there anybody else here? No. If it's to be, it's up to me. And I went in and I looked at my father and something happened that never happened before. I fell in love with my dad in front of me, not just the thought of him, not just the idea of him, not just the description of him, where, I'm telling other people, I'm looking at my dad, I'm looking at him in the eye, and I fell in love with my father. I fell in love with who he is. I fell in love with who he could be and what was possible for him. And that's where I was operating from in the conversation. What I had none of was judgment about my dad. None. I mean, I had plenty of judgment, 21 years of my life, but not this time, not in this conversation. I focused on who he is, who he could be, what's possible for him. And when my father opens his heart, when my father is loving and vulnerable and affectionate, how it's not only going to make a difference in my life, it's going to make a difference with my mother. It's going to make a difference with my brother. It's going to make a difference for my sister. It's going to make a difference for his family, extended family, and for the world that we live in. And I opened my heart to my dad, and he came down like a redwood tree. His heart opened up. And I went back and I went back and I went back and I went back and I went back. And it was like chipping away at everything that isn't David until all of a sudden David started to appear. The transformation began. My father hugged me. My father cried on my shoulders. He sobbed, telling me how sorry he was for all the years that he was so cold towards me. He apologized. He said, I love you. I mean, over and over again, we had the most intimate, loving, warm, vulnerable embrace. And it was in the top three most beautiful, profound moments of my life and meant everything. I healed my relationship with my dad. And so I sit here in front of you and say to you the following. I don't know all the details of the difficulties you have with whoever this person is and whoever these people are in your life, but I do know something, and I know it from experience, and that is that transformation is possible. And I wish it was easier. I wish I could give you like a magic pill or, just a loving word of wisdom. I wish it was easier, but whatever it is and whatever it takes is worth it for that person and for you and for everybody that you know and they know. It's a rippling effect. Thanksgiving transformed when I transformed my relationship with my dad. It was no longer about the turkey, and it was no longer about whether it was more moist this year than last year. Nobody cared. It was about acknowledgement. My Thanksgivings became about acknowledgement. One at a time, you're on the hot seat. And when it was your turn, everybody got to share something about you that they loved, respected, admired, or appreciated. And the tears were flowing, the Kleenex was being passed out, and the turkey was getting cold. But nobody cared. It used to be the Stepford wife Thanksgiving. Everybody would sit there in their silos and we would all pretend that everything's great. Everything's great. Everything's great. Please pass the mashed potatoes. Oh my God, this stuffing is so good. No, Mom, I still don't like stuffing. You know how every year you ask me if I like stuffing, and every year I tell you I don't like stuffing? I still don't like stuffing. Yeah. I mean, that was Thanksgiving. It was such a fraudulent activity, and it became an authenticity process, a celebration process, which is why Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday. It's about acknowledgement, it's about love, it's about connection, it's about putting words on our innermost love and gratitude and appreciation for the people in our life, the gift that we all have. So yours is up to you. So whoever this person is, I want you to think of them right now. And I want you to fall in love with them. See if you can fall in love with who they are, who they could be, and what their possibilities are. Not all the things they've done in the past or even in the present to make your life hard or make it difficult, make it unhappy or make it stressful or make it painful, whatever it might be. And as you're thinking of who this person is and what you love about them, what's wonderful about who they are, what's wonderful about who they could be, and what their possibilities are, who would you need to be, and how would you need to show up in order to cause and create this breakdown into a breakthrough? This difficult relationship into a 10 out of 10 relationship. Maybe it doesn't happen in one conversation. Maybe it doesn't even happen in two. Maybe it takes 5 or 10 or 20. But is it worth it in a relationship that matters to you, that you have difficulty with, to create that peace, that healing, that connection, that love, that gratitude, that appreciation, that bonding, that partnership that you seek? Okay, so perk on who it is. What we're going to do is we're going to do a quick breakout sharing. And because I want you to have an opportunity to do some work here, I want you to identify somebody in your life. So, part one, somebody in your life that you're having a difficult time with, that you're committed to creating a breakthrough in the relationship. Remember what I said, doesn't have to be a stalker. And by the way, it could also be somebody who's not with us anymore. That absolutely could count. Maybe there's a relationship you have that felt incomplete to you. You're no longer with the person. Maybe you were married before. Maybe it was your best friend that you guys had a fight and you don't even think about her anymore, but she's was your best friend at some point. But every now and then, you know, it comes up for you. So it could be a current relationship or a past relationship, but I want you to connect with who the person is. And then I want you to fall in love with this person. What do you love about them? What do you love about who they could be? And what do you see as their possibilities? So it's a totally different conversation than you getting into the exercise with somebody and you're with Dolores and you're going first and you say, Dolores, I want to talk about my relationship with my mother. What I hate about her is, so we're not doing that. We're not going, we're not doing that. I want to talk to you about my business partner and how they're the worst partner in the history of business. No, if you whoever it is you choose, you're going to share who it is, what the relationship is to you, and then you're going to share about what you love about them, what you see, and what you love about who they could be. So you're working on letting go of judgment and seeing them in their greatness. Letting go of judgment and seeing them in their greatness. So who's the person? What do you love about them? What do you love about who they can be? And what are the possibilities you see for them in their life? And so, partner B, while partner A is going, you get to listen and then jump in and coach if you hear them getting off track and into a story about what they don't like about the person or the breakdown or something that happened that they are mad about or whatever, to have them focus. What do you love about the person? What do you love about who they could be? And what are the possibilities you see? And then the next piece is, who do you get to be? And what do you get to do to cause and facilitate the breakthrough? Who do you get to be? And what do you get to do to cause and facilitate the breakthrough? Okay. So this could be a 20-minute breakout exercise, you and a partner. So pick a partner A and a partner B, and partner A, you go first. And then when you're complete, partner B, jump in and give them support, coaching, and feedback so that they are empowered, not in cold feet, but they're empowered to take action to create a breakthrough in this difficult relationship. So we transform it into something wonderful and possible and makes a difference in your life, their life, and the lives of everybody that you both come in contact with. Okay? So you get to be a coach for your partner and you get to jump in and be an excellent listener for your partner and keep them on track. Okay? So 20-minute breakout session. Whoever you're with, jump right in. Who's going to be partner A? Who's going to be partner B? And partner A, it's who is the person? What do you love about them? What do you love about who they could be? What are the possibilities you see in them? Like fully immerse yourself in their gifts and imagine them in their greatness. Let yourself go there where there's no history. There's a blank canvas, and you are the artist, and you're painting the picture from a blank page. No history to get over, no obstacles to get over. See them in their greatness and design it and paint it and speak it into being. And then when you're complete with that, the next piece is, who do you get to be? What do you get to do to cause this breakthrough to happen? And then feedback, coaching, and support from your partner. Okay? So let's have a 20-minute breakout. And when we come back, we will wrap up our breakthrough difficult relationships workshop. Okay? Thank you, everybody. Jump in. Let's go.
Oops.
Yeah, back.
We didn't
We're
finish.
back. I always run out of time.
Welcome back, everybody.
Story of my life.
Welcome back, everybody. So, breakthrough. Breakthrough is not an event. Breakthrough is not an event. Breakthrough is a process.
Process.
Breakdown, breakthrough, breakdown, breakthrough, breakdown, breakthrough. So I remember the first time that my mother had a breakthrough. I thought it would be the ultimate breakthrough and there would never have to be another breakthrough or get to be another breakthrough. Either way, have to, get to. I thought it would just happen one time and then we would just celebrate that for an eternity. Well, then the next day happened. And so, what I've realized, and I thank my mother for this, is that breakthrough is a process. I have said this forever. My mother is the single greatest breakthrough opportunity for me in my life. We all have somebody. My mother is my person. I mean, love, of course, I love my mother. I love my mother. I'm passionately committed to the relationship. And my mother is like the student in any training or workshop where she constantly gives opportunities for me to coach. And so I get to sharpen my transformational saw by being in a relationship with my mother. I mean, there's no one that can pull the rug out from under whatever joy might be happening faster than my mother. And then I get to break down with her and break through again and break down and break through with her again. But what it's done for me, because I do see this as a gift, is it has taught me incredible patience. I have incredible patience due to my relationship with my mother. So let's go back to the point. Some people, some relationships are worth fighting for. My relationship with my mother is worth fighting for. The stalker when I was in eighth grade was not worth fighting for. That was super a super excellent decisions to just simply let her go and move on. And if I could have blocked her, if there was some way to block her, I would have blocked her, to get her off my Facebook page and all the things. Thank God we didn't have social media. Who knows what would have shown up in my freaking DMs? I don't need all that. But my mother is a relationship worth fighting for. Every time I make a difference in my mother's life, it affects her. It affects my brother, my sisters, my nieces and nephews. It affects every aspect of her life. And so remember that when you're creating breakthroughs in those difficult relationships, the lessons you learn will impact every area of your life. It will not only impact that person's life and the quality of their life, it'll impact everyone they are connected to, interconnected to, interrelated to. Every life affects the world. How we live our lives affects the world around us. And therefore, being the best version of ourselves, we can't walk through life being an evidence collector, being a victim, and collecting evidence to be right about our victim stories. The reality is the people that we're victims of, here's the news bulletin. Anyone that you are a victim of, this is going to be a hard pill to swallow. Anyone that you are a victim of has your power. You do not. They've got a hold of you and your power. And here's what I believe: people have enough of their own power. They don't need yours. You do. You do. You get to take your power and use it in the service of your vision. You get to take your power and use it in the service of your VSPs, your projects, your goals, your relationships, your health, your finances, your business, your entrepreneur ideas you've got. That's where your power gets to be. That's where your power gets to show up, gets to manifest itself. And so if you're a victim of this one and a victim of that and a victim of this and a victim of that, I swear to God, I want you to hear this. My mother could not stand my brother's wife for the first, hold on to your hats here, 34 years of their marriage. 34 years, my mother could not stand Margie. My mother couldn't stand Margie. My mother made up things about Margie. Margie pinched me. My mother made up a story that Margie pinched her, like in the kitchen one day. Margie didn't pinch my mother. I mean, that's like the silliest thing. Margie uses her power in her relationship with my brother, in her relationship with her children, in her church, in her community, and all the different things that she's involved in. Do you know what Margie is not doing 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? Building a case about my mother. As a matter of fact, I don't even know if Margie ever talked about my mother with my brother, except my brother said something about my mother to Margie. I mean, Margie's not consumed. So I had so many breakthrough conversations with my mother, so many breakthrough conversations about Margie, and then I am not kidding. Last year, in the 35th year of my brother's marriage to Margie, the 35th year, my mother says to me, Michael, I want to tell you something. I said, okay, what's up? She said, guess who's coming to visit me? Just like this. Guess who's coming to visit me? I go, Larry? Nope. I don't know. A best friend, somebody you haven't seen in 20 years. My mother goes, Margie is coming to visit me. And I said, what do you mean? like what? I'm like, excuse me? Did you just say Margie? Yes, Margie's coming to visit me. And I said, why? Why is Margie coming to visit you? And she said, because I have had a breakthrough in my relationship with Margie. And I said, wow, that's amazing. I'm so happy to hear it. Do you know how many times I talked to my mother about how much of a difference it would make in my brother's life? How much of a difference it would make in their family and our family as a whole? I'm like, Mom, you cannot go through your entire life having a made up grudge against Larry because Larry married somebody that you didn't think he should marry. I don't know if it's, relevant, but they're still married 35 years later. And every time I see them, they're hugging, they're kissing, their kids love them. It seems like everything seems to be working. Maybe you could just let this one go. My mother has let it go. A year later, my sister-in-law, Margie, and my brother have now visited my mother, probably 3 different times. Every single time, my mother's like, I just had the best time with Margie. Now, I'm sure if I really got in there and I said, what changed, Mom? I'm sure my mother would probably tell me something along the lines of Margie had a breakthrough. But let me tell you something. Margie hasn't changed one bit. Everybody liked Margie. Everybody loved Margie. Everybody accepted Margie, except for my mother, who has, for 35 plus years, 34 years, whatever, had the story that Margie married her favorite son, and she did not approve. But guess what? My mother has officially approved of Margie. Margie has made the cut. They just were down there a few days ago. My mother's calling me saying, I just had the most wonderful time with Margie. Really, Mom? Tell me about it. Well, we did this and we did that. We talked about this. We talked about that. You would think that Margie's been her best friend for 35 years. But no, this is in the last 12 months. So Fight for the possibilities. Don't give up when it's difficult. Yes, it is difficult sometimes, but don't get resigned to the difficulty. Don't let the challenge or the hardship or the difficulty or the pain or the hurt or the layers, don't let it stop you or get in the way. The relationships in your life and the people that you love are worth fighting for. People don't get it until they get it, but they're never going to get it if we give up on them. So let's not give up on the people that we love. Be the difference. Be the difference. I never thought it would be me that would cause my mother, my father, and my family to transform, but it was the oddball that I am. The damaged goods that I decided I was, the unloved, unwanted, not cared about person, all the things I made up. I never thought it would be me, but it was me. So why not you? Okay? So my challenge to all of you is go have the conversation that you get to have with the person you get to have it with. And if it's, as I said, somebody that's no longer in your life or no longer alive, you can still take action to have the conversation and to do the work. Maybe it's with a conversation with a friend, maybe it's with your coach, maybe it's with one of your buddies, maybe it's a family member, but have it so that we are healing ourselves and we are healing the past and we are healing the pains that are present in our life. We don't want to walk through life being Santa Claus, collecting pain and suffering from the world. Let's be Santa Claus and give out the gifts, put smiles on people's faces, and bring joy to the world that we live in. Everybody here is aware of what happens and happening in the news every day. We need less of the negativity and the pain and the hurt and the judgment and the polarization of the world. And we get to unite our families and our friends and our loved ones. Okay? So take action and be ready to share about what you created and the breakthroughs you are creating. I want to hear stories from you about the Margies in your life. I want to hear stories from you about your dad and all the significant relationships that matter to you, because that's how we can continue to move it forward and create the rippling effect for all of us. Okay? So, in the meantime, thank you guys for jumping in tonight and being present today. Thank you for your contribution. And I'm sending all of you lots of hugs and love. All right? I'll see you guys soon. Thank you.
Bye,
Have a great
everybody.
night.
Thank you,
Go
Michael.
get them.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Michael.